Electrified fences are set up with the promise to keep people safe from dangerous animals. In reality, they imprison people inside. A dying child wails for food while his parents are forced into hard labor at unfair wages. What little workers earn keeps them strong enough to provide products for an ignorant upper class, yet too weak to revolt. Children gamble their lives in exchange for sustenance for their family. This isn't life in a third world country. This is the future of the free world in the Hunger Games. Great. As he said, my name's Amy Redberg, and I've been working in broadcast media for nearly a decade now, and I'm also finishing my communications degree at the University of Calgary. Raise your hand if you have finished the Hunger Games trilogy. Okay, so anyone that didn't raise their hand, there's going to be a little bit of spoilers today. So just giving you that as a heads up. The dominant theme in the Hunger Games is the class struggle between the districts and the capital. In the third novel, District 13 is a perfect example of how a new class can rise to power. Katniss Everdeen demonstrates the Marxist theory that power doesn't come from aligning with a dominant class, but from an awareness of oppression and the strength to take action against it. Today I'll discuss how elements of the series offer a warning for the future and provide useful tools in igniting social change in a new generation. First, I'll define how Marxist and standpoint theories encourage us to see beyond political deceptions in Panem and relate them to our own society. Second, I'll discuss characteristics that make Katniss a symbol of revolution. Third, I'll describe how the capital exemplifies the dominant ruling class, while districts 1 through 12 represents the working class. Fourth, I'll explain how the Hunger Games echoes contemporary politics in North America. The Hunger Games is one of the most radical young adult fiction trilogies written by longtime children's scriptwriter Suzanne Collins. It's sold over 26 million books to a large audience not limited by age, group, or gender. Marxist and standpoint theories encourage us to see beyond political deceptions in our own society. Marx states the ruling class creates the beliefs of a society because it has time to think, while the working class is the passive receptor since they have less time on their hands. This system of ideas, called ideology, forms the basis of economic or political theory and policy. In our capitalist society, profit pushes production and controls mass labor. The working class contributes to its own domination. Now, this word, hegemony, is the control of a culture by a manipulating ruling class so that the views of the elite are accepted as the norm. It's extremely difficult to recognize, but Marx gives 3 rules to proving it. First is simply recognizing dominant ideas as illusions. Second is to show how the history of ideas progressed to pinpoint when the concepts started to gain acceptance. Third is to associate these concepts with the people that created them. And Sandra Harding's standpoint theory builds onto this by encouraging researchers to see the world through the eyes of the oppressed. It removes ideologies for a more objective view on society as a whole to provide an accurate answer to hegemony. So what makes a simple girl from the poorest district in Panem the Mockingjay? We experience the revolution from the standpoint of a young girl who's risen from the depths of the most oppressed society in all of Panem. The trilogy begins on the eve of the reaping when Katniss is discussing the uncertain future with her best friend Gale. As punishment for a past rebellion, 1 boy and 1 girl are chosen from each district in an annual televised survival competition pitting young people against one another to fight to the death. Katniss and Gale have both been entered in the annual lottery more than any of their siblings, because with each entry, their families are given additional but meager food supplies. This trading system disadvantages the poorest citizens. As the oldest siblings in each family who've lost their fathers in a tragic mining explosion, Gale and Katniss are breadwinners at very young ages. Gale is forced to work hard labor at an unfair wage to provide for his family, while Katniss, who is taught by her father to hunt and gather in the woods beyond the fence, illegally trades wild game for money and supplies in District 12's black market. Because of these skills, Katniss has masculine qualities. Hunger is used as a weapon to control people in the districts and to keep the citizens of the capital distracted with conspicuous consumption. Katniss explains the truth is kept from public knowledge when she says, "Starvation is never the cause of death officially. It's always the flu, exposure, or pneumonia, but that fools no one." Katniss rises above self-interested motivations common in young adult literature. She grows through the series to become the Mockingjay, a symbol of revolution. And she learns to recognize not only the absolutes of right and wrong, but also the uncertainty of existence. When her younger sister Primrose is chosen to represent District 12 in the 74th Annual Hunger Games, Katniss immediately volunteers to take Prim's place. Her choice to volunteer is not motivated by the same maliciousness as careers who volunteer in the more powerful districts, but by unconditional love for her sister. During the games, Katniss makes several rebellious moves motivated by love. And here's where the spoilers come in. She covers a young ally from District 11 in flowers before game makers take her lifeless body away. She performs in a televised romance with Peeta in order to gain sponsorships to heal his life-threatening injuries. She attempts a double suicide with Peeta at the end of the games, choosing to die rather than murder her teammate for the Capitol's benefit. When the victors are sent back in the 75th Annual Quarter Quell, Katniss does everything she can to ensure Peeta is the victor, not her. And here's the major spoiler, in the end, she chooses to marry Peeta because choosing Gale would mean betrayal of one of her highest values, for the preservation of innocent life. Katniss is the Mockingjay, a creature the Capitol never planned to exist. Do any of you remember how the Mockingjay came to be? No?
Genetically engineered beard to be a snitcher, wasn't it?
Yes. So the story is that the Capitol genetically engineered a bird called the Jabberjay to record the rebels during the First Revolution. When insurgents caught on to the device and fed it false information, the Capitol killed the project and set the birds free in hopes they would die off. But the Jabberjay mated with the Mockingbird and created the Mockingjay. Against all odds, Katniss broke out of District 12's ideology to become a rebel with a purpose. Her survival skills made her independent enough to not only keep herself alive, but become a lethal political adversary to the Capitol, just like the Mockingjay. As Katniss's survival skills see her through the poverty and hunger in District 12, excess and luxury in the capital, and regimented control and militancy in District 13, we experience all of Canon's ideologies through her standpoint. The capital exemplifies the dominant ruling class, while Districts 1 through 12 represent the working class. These systems determine the very nature of Canon's society. The districts are numbered in order of importance to the capital, and Katniss is from District 12, which is the poorest region known for their coal mines. The people of the capital represent the ruling class. They mindlessly gorge on delicacies, enhance their appearance to grotesque levels, and bet extravagantly on the results of the games. These habits are distractions from the deceptions of the capital's tyrannical leader, President Snow. The citizens have forfeited their rights in exchange for entertainment at a cost of the lives of lower-class children. It doesn't take much to notice the similarities between the capital lifestyle and the way our society operates. Do we want to associate ourselves with wastefulness and overconsumption like the people of the capital? As you can imagine, consumption keeps the people of the capital too preoccupied with materialism to realize injustices. Hegemony and violence continue unnoticed. In the districts, occupants caught outside the electric fence are violently punished. The peacekeepers are either from the capital or District 2, the weapons manufacturing district. Brutality keeps each district dependent on its mode of production for its sole means of survival. The ignorance of the capital serves to increase our awareness about injustice in our own society. For example, participants of Occupy refused to align with political parties in order to make a point that it was never about politics. Working-class people talked about the large gap between rich and poor, with a radical form of democracy that made things happen despite having no formal leadership. It was also a demonstration of political disobedience, which resists partisan politics, policy reforms, party identification, and ideologies that have dominated the post-war period. The movement proved that meeting basic human needs is possible. The only thing preventing it is greed. Large world conglomerates uphold the capitalist structure so that implementation of Occupy's ideas can only happen with criminal action. The Hunger Games are a depiction of the politics of ignorance, with major parties obligated to serve corporate interests. This kind of environment keeps people like President Snow in power. The presidential election in the United States has become more about entertainment than about reform. The games, like the presidential election, distract from the truth. Winning doesn't change Panem for the better, but keeps the dominant ideology in place. After Katniss was declared co-victor with PETA, they were given mansions with unlimited resources. Living in their mansion put them in a position of privilege to act as a symbol of the dominant ideology of the capital. Marx says that when class revolution eventually occurs, ruling ideas vanish to be replaced by the next set of ideologies. The ruling ideas of the capital are replaced by District 13 to start a class revolution. District 13 is a communal organization structured for survival with a controlled economy featuring barcodes on the wrists of its inhabitants. Katniss believes District 13 can be even more controlling than the capital. Alma Coyne, the leader of District 13, presents her self-motivated interest as the general interest of all members of the revolution, but only those who agree are given the right to become a part of her dominant position. When Katniss discovers Coyne plans to continue the Hunger Games using the capital's citizens, she fears an endless cycle of violence and refuses to side with District 13. This is a difficult decision because her best friend Gail has already been indoctrinated. And Katniss again distinguishes ideology from reality, though she loses a friendship and acquires a new opponent in the process. A life free of domination requires the tenacity to take a stand against impossible odds. Katniss proves that true power comes from being able to see ruling ideals for what they are, remembering them for what they were, and preventing them from ever being repeated. I leave with you a simple challenge. Find one part of your daily routine that's part of a societal ideology. And you may find a lot, and you may feel like there's no way to do anything about this. But the next step is to talk about it. Turn to the person next to you, talk to your friends, because Katniss didn't do this alone. Consider how Katniss climbed from the depths of the most oppressed society in all of Panem to spark a revolution. No matter where you stand in society, you have the ability to increase your awareness of oppression and to take action against it. Thank you.